good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Ahmad Sharainon, Muhammad Sharani. Currently work as a Managing Director at Microcorp Sdn Bhd. We are leading provider of integrated workplace management system, and I will be responsible for hosting this webinar today. Microcorp, in collaboration with Construction Industry Development Boards, are initiating a 7-series webinar discussing on how the facilities management activity will need to evolve by exploring the concept and strategies of digitalization. Thank you to CIDB for willingness to collaborate with Microcorp Sdn Bhd for this webinar. And for today's webinar, we are going to be talking about process improvement, empowering the wounded warriors. This webinar is part of our 7-series webinar, 2022 Battle of Digital Transformation in Facility Management. We have been hosting series of webinar, and our webinar basically revolve around one theme, which is the digital transformation in facility management. The architecture, engineering, and construction industry is leveraging on the availability of the technology to gain the optimal result from implementing the digital tools. And the world of facility management encompasses many things and is always evolving. Facility management professional tasked with not only improving operation and reducing costs, but also creating a better overall works environment. The digital works evolve fast, and the facility management software is no exception. And as we move forward, relying on modern facilities management technology will become even more critical to the organization. And in order to stay successful in facility management, the organization needs to keep up with the latest trend and technology. And of course, IT infrastructure is especially important, as it becomes the backbone of the technology, which helps to combine digital process and physical operation. Our goal is to build awareness among organizations and AEC practitioners on the importance of having a comprehensive strategy, evolving technology advancement in order to make project and organization run more efficiently. This webinar aims to acknowledge the importance of technology infrastructure improvement and implementing or managing digital transformation in facility management, and to keep a keen eye on the technological development that are shaping the future of the facility management industry. With us right now, we have 3 speakers for today's event, which is Yang Bahagia Profesor Dr. Surveyor Mat Yusof, Rector of UiTM Perak. Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
We have Mr. Tamil Wanan, Head of Property Management Department of EPF. How are you, Mr. Tamil?
Fine. Welcome to all the participants and also the speakers.
And and then we have also Mr. Stephen E, Principal Consultant at FMS Associates Asia Private Limited, Singapore.
Hello.
Welcome, Stephen.
Hello. Good to be here, and I'm excited towards this evening webinar.
Okay, before we start, I have a few housekeeping items. Everyone is on mute. If you have any question for our speaker, please feel free to enter them into the chat box section, and we will addressing question at the end of the session. Or you also can raising your hand at the participant section of your room's interface. And bear in mind, we're also recording this, and a recorded version of today's webinar will be available on demand after the live session. Okay, without any further ado, I would like to turn this over to our speaker, our first speaker, Yang Bahagia Prof. Dr. Surveyor Muhammad Yusof. Over to you, Prof.
Right, thank you, Mr. Ahmad Sharainon, Managing Director of Microcorp Sdn Bhd. Our friends or other speakers such as Mr. P. Tamil Wanan and Mr. Stephen E. So allow me to share my presentation. Is it clear, Mr. Ahmad?
Yeah. I think you can have a slideshow.
Slideshow, yeah. Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
great.
All right. So, welcome to all participants for our tonight or today discussion in terms of process improvement, empowering the wounded warriors. I'm trying my best to present this presentation within 15 to 20 minutes. Because of myself, which come from academic background, so I would like to share with all of the participants in terms of the theoretical, such as some of the framework of the process improvement based on the academic work that have been done previously. So actually, to introduce my presentation for tonight's presentation, we will cover on introduction, such as very basic of FM definition that relate to the FM process, and then what are the issues and challenges for the facilities management sectors, especially post-pandemic COVID-19, and then what the response from the facilities management should be to the industries. And then I will conclude in terms of my opinion regarding the process improvement, and then what are the strategic facilities management need to do in this context or within our today's scenario. Right, I start off with some basic introduction about myself. So I'm doing my PhD at University of Oxford in United Kingdom in 2006. I'm this Professor Kit Alexander. I think in the facilities management, we know that this professor is one of the pioneer in facilities management field that write a book in terms of theory and practice of facilities management in 1990. I think that book's firstly being produced. Yeah. So therefore, when we having this kind, when myself have this kind of opportunity to work with this group, and then we come up with this project. We call it as FM Future for Euro FM Research Project. That was in 2007, 15 years ago. And then from this workshop, we come out with this kind of research that focusing on facilities management process at that particular time in 2008. So we produce this kind of books entitled Facilities Management Process, a combination of all the facilities management process of all work that being carried out all across Europe. So myself and Professor Kit developed the facilities management process based on the project at the University of Salford, and then applied into higher education institution. So that will be some of introduction of my background, involvement in facilities management process, and then I'm still work with this project to look on what are the contribution of facilities management process to the strategic facilities management process that can contribute to the core business of the organization. So that's the main criteria of facilities management process. Yeah. Right. So of course, when we talk about this facilities management process, I'm always use this common definition that been agreed by across European nations. So this is from the European nation 15221 part 1 in 2006, that we agreed the definition of facilities management is the integration of the process within the organization to maintain and develop and to support the improve the effectiveness of its primary activity. So when we can see into this figure, so as an organization that consists of client, customers, and users, so we demand this kind of facilities management as a service provider to deliver the services, to supply the services that expected that meet our requirement. So therefore, the facilities management agreement is entitled between the facilities management provider, whether they come from the internal or external provider that supply the services to the end organization. So it means that the support process, the roles of facilities management in ensuring the primary process of the organization to support the core business of the organization is the primarily important in this process. Okay, so when we talk about this facilities management process, actually it is linked to the demands of an organization and influence the effectiveness of the primary process. I give an example from these slides. You can see that the impact from the COVID-19 to the FM sector. So the business changing needs, the safety workplace environment. So as a facilities manager, we need to ensure that our workplace are safe, then fulfill all the requirement. And then in terms of we also having a problem in terms of financial instability of an organization. And then of course, if we want to survive, we need to leverage an emerging technology that we have. And then of course, government introduced the new legislation, standard operational procedure. So as an users or as a client, so they expected that the workplace that perceived that being designed, operated in efficiently and accountability in management. So therefore, the facilities management department or estate division should perform and understand on this changing on this primary process. And then we need to deal at the strategic, tactical, and operational level of the process of the organization. Right. So this is the FM process map that within these three different areas, such as focus on strategic, tactical, and operational level. I think everybody knows about this process. So it means that at the strategic level, so we try to aim to achieve the objective of the organization in the long term. So FM need to play the role to support the business organization and of course to ensure the competitiveness of the business itself. And then at the technical level, what are the tactics that to be adopted for actual plan achievement? And then this is normally what FM do, that it is at the operational level, the lowest level process. We mean that the execution process, the implementation of the plan that being produced by the facilities management provider. So when we look on the backbone of this process, you can see that 10 to 15 years ago, there is a lot of work that focusing on the development of FM process. Such as in 2008, we can see that the FM development process in Germany, in a few company, in few countries in Europe, and then they are trying to look on the optimization of that process. What are the innovation of the process? And myself and team look on the process that can be focusing on the strategic view, and then look on what are the approach that we can do in terms of this FM process. Yeah. Okay. And then when we give an example of higher education process, when we talk about the input and outputs, of course, it is clearly when we put a student as our input, the output is become a graduate. And then when we do or we what we call do this kind of research, the research result will become the outputs of that particular process. This is only the examples, the fundamental concept for the participant to understand on this facilities management process by giving an examples of higher education sector. Right. This is the issues and challenges for the FM sector after our facing this pandemic. So it means that we can look at building nowadays required the COVID-19 safe with demand for screen, hand cleansing stations, and then of course the lockdown that we have facing previously. So, but we still need to have an essential maintenance. And then the technology that reduce humans' capability, such as we try to have this kind of video meetings, interviews, virtual, etc. That way we have tonight. And then of course, demand for an office space is likely to be reduced even when the pandemic has passed. Yeah, so that will be the situation that we are facing after this COVID-19 pandemic. And then in this context, so we need to look on how, what are the response from the facilities management to achieve the business success. So mean that we need to look on, did our current facilities support the business need? So how will we work in the future? And then what need to be changed? And then in terms of the impact of this COVID-19, in terms of the new technologies, so in terms of the global working hours, so we work outside our facilities, and then we need to ensure the sustainable building and operation and maintenance practice are in place. So this is what the facilities management need to respond. Yeah. So therefore, we formulate that in terms of to respond on in this situation. So we focus on the new services and activities to facilitate our employees return to their workplace. And then, of course, we need to conduct a holistic of review business requirement and portfolio implication, assess them, optimize to the medium to long-term position and option, considering anticipated change to workplace strategy in a post-COVID-19. And then therefore, we need to have this kind of multidisciplinary task force. And then at the same time, we need to ensure that the FM providers and occupier must work together to settle on a balanced approach that builds in a greater resilience by introducing a spectrum of physical and virtual solution based on business need. So what I'm trying to say in terms of emerging technologies, this is all the technologies that are viable. Then the FM providers need to invest into this technology, such as we have this kind of wellness check kiosk, the touchless technologies. We need to ensure that we have a hybrid office, so we can work with that situation. Yeah. Okay. Other than that, when we look on the response of FM into this process, so this COVID-19 pandemic has forced organizations to reset the ongoing soft service to support the workplace environment. And then there is a growing need for automate our FM business process. And then we must look also how we can leverage data for a better decision-making process, such as how we can improve the workplace experience for our employees and customers. So therefore, in this situation, the smart technology and artificial intelligence will be introduced, such as when we look in terms of in the post-COVID time, the smart technology will add greater significance. So the facilities that we occupy need to be operate the building in very dynamic environment with varied occupancy pattern nowadays. And then we need to having this quick change. And then, of course, the data analytics are expected to bring efficiency in this kind of managing the facilities, managing the occupancy of this particular building using this kind of smart technology and artificial intelligence. So for FM provider, so we need to increase focus on the user experience and the outcome. And then the roles of FM providers is become more strategic terms. So we need to having this kind of partnership that can work with us to achieve the company goals. And then, of course, we need to ensure the customer's experience. And then the technology and changing attitude can drive and increase sophistication in FM. Is the people who are playing a much more important roles in our context of an organization. So therefore, in terms of current requirement that we are facing nowadays, so we need to look on how this kind of economical and sustainable FM become more important to an organization. So of course, we are talking about not only to optimize our expenditure costs, so we need to look on the value of return on our investment to increase our staff productivity, etc. And then the most challenging parts nowadays, our building occupants and tenants demand better, faster, and high quality service. So how to do with this kind of context? So it means that we need to have the technology, we need to have a system that can accommodate with this demand. Yeah. So therefore, the use of innovative device and solution that leverage the real-time analytical data is very helpful in operational decision making. So I'm trying to say that with this kind of technology, with this kind of understandings of organization needs or requirement, so therefore we can serve a better data, a better information, and a better input to our client. Right. So this is one of the case studies that we apply this kind of smart technology and artificial intelligence. So this company in Malaysia, but they have a site in this Al Naboda Chulia Facilities Management in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. So this is one of the projects that we use digitization of facilities management. We use this kind of Internet of Things, data analytics, and mobile application to get a real data, to make it more efficient, to make it more effective in terms of managing this site, which is far away from Malaysia, which is in Dubai, but we still get all the data, all the information, all the input about this particular building for a better decision making. And then this project been awarded as Urbanized Smart City Pioneer Award in 2017. This is one of the examples where we use this kind of process. We include with digitization of facilities management. So where we see that previously facilities management in terms of trade or in terms of scope of work, they are working in silos such as air conditioning system, M&E, cleaning, utility management. So they are having their own task of scope of work, management, etc. So we move on, try to consolidate all this kind of trust, all this kind of activities, and then archive them in terms of data bank, and then integrate and automate. So I mean, in this concept, we try to having this kind of automate smart solution based on this data analytic tool that we have. So it improves the FM activities, and then this practice get more efficient, effective in terms of field of facilities management with impose of this strategy. Right. So this is one of the tools that we use. I think this is not new for everybody, which is from the industry and then from the participant that here, that because of this is one of the tools that we try to look on digitization of FM. You use this kind of temperature sensors because we know that Dubai with this kind of hot temperature. Yeah. So the temperature sensor device installed in strategic location in the showroom to get the real temperature in that particular space, and then from that we can adjust the temperature, and then with that it can be in terms of provide a long-term saving in terms of lower energy and reduce in terms of maintenance cost. So this is one of the examples of the digitization of FM after understandings on the FM process, and then to ensure that it is more effective to the organization, and then the client are happy with this particular project. Yeah. So therefore, what are the solutions that we can get from this case study? So the integration of Internet of Things, big data analytics, and mobile phone application toward digitization of FM has results in substantial reduction in management cost, as well as improved facilities performance and service quality. And then therefore, we can ensure that it will in terms of maintenance budget, it will optimize the maintenance budget. And then this is examples of that we need to practice in futures with this paradigm shift, as mentioned by Stephen before. It is from cost control to value creation. Right. As a conclusion, I can see that in a few years times, that even after the post-COVID-19, so our FM sectors will gain a greater prominence. The growth prospects in the FM market participant, they will increase. And then of course, FM provider need to offer such as a performance-based service contract. And then we need, whether we like it or not, we need to adopt and integrate the digital technologies in our practice. And then partnering with automation manufacturers and application development is a must. And then of course the strategic FM role to support the business need by understands the facilities management process. And then of course I end up that we need to further do research and education in facilities management to support the strategic facilities management in organization. I think that's all from me, Cik Mat. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, we are welcome, Prof. Yeah, thank you very much to you also. Yeah, I think I like the last statement. R&D is important, educating and educating is important. And then thank you also for emphasizing on the digital transformation in process improvement, especially on the digitization, on the case study that you involve. All right, I would like to invite our second speaker, Mr. Tamil Wanan. Over to you, sir.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Let me pull up my slide. Yeah.
So welcome also. We also have Dr. Yohanes. I think last week he's our speaker. Welcome, Dr. Yohanes.
Can you now see my slide?
Not yet. Can you share it?
I'm sharing it. Can we get Adavia to share the slides?
Okay. Adavia, can you share the slide on behalf of Encik Tamil? Syafiq ke? Boleh help out? Ya, okay. Yep. Ya.
Boleh tengok?
Boleh, kan? Yes. Yep.
Alright. So,
Okay. Good.
firstly, good evening to everybody, and thank you to CIDB and Microcorp for hosting this wonderful series of webinars, which is, I find it very useful for FM practitioners. We have been told that this is a 7-part series, and this is the 5th of the 7-part series, and we've got 2 more to go. They have covered FM contracts, space management, asset management, operations and maintenance, and today it's about process improvement. All the topics that has been picked is very niche and trendy to the current requirements of FM practitioners. Shabas to Microcorp and CIDB for organizing this. So coming to today's topic, process improvement, little about myself. I'm actually the Secretary of Nation Association of Facility Management, but I just retired. I was formerly the head of property management of EPF with 15 years of experience on property and facilities management. I am not a career facility management practitioner. I'm more of an accidental property and facility management practitioner, because I spent about 36 years in EPF, and through job rotation, I was asked to take care of this property management department. So I put in a good number of 15 years on property and facility management, and quite passionate about this. Next, talking about process improvement. Process improvement is something, it's not just limited to FM. You know, in any businesses, there is many aspects, many functions of the core businesses of the of an organization, and every core processes, there will be a need for opportunity for process improvement. So FM is just one of it. I'll be covering 4 aspects: importance of process improvement, a simple process improvement, and a sample process improvement metrics, and what are the critical success factors for process improvement. So if Prof tadi he focused on the end-to-end of process improvement, I will not be covering from the whole strategic portion. My coverage will be more practical in the sense that we as FM practitioners, what are the day-to-day issues that we face amongst all other priorities, and how do we prioritize and do process improvements. Okay, why do we want to even improve processes? We need to look at improving turnaround time. We need to improve our customer satisfaction. Even in EPF, our customers, we focus, even though it's majority of the customers are internal customers, but even though internal customers, we give it priority. So customer satisfaction has to be looked into, and enhancing stakeholder engagement. Here we are talking about You know, if you are a property owner, you're talking about the management of the organization, or the board members of the organization, the service providers, the government authorities, and all that. These are the stakeholders. Naturally, process improvements also is looked into to reduce costs. Cost is a very important element in managing facilities. So this is something that we need to look into, and process improvement will help in that. And reducing errors and mistakes. In FM, if we do not get our processes correct, it may lead to breakdowns, which could lead to, you know, dissatisfaction among customers. It could lead to increase in costs. So we need to look into all breakdowns that happens, why it happens. So this is where process improvement comes in. And overall, when we do all this, there is definitely we will be looking at wholesome quality improvement in the quality of service. So these are some of the reasons why we need to give process improvement some priority in our daily work life. Okay, so next is the methodology. What is the methodology? Why do we want to take time and effort? Like problem statement, right? Is in FM, there is many aspects that we can look into to improve. So if we zero in on a particular process to improve, in the first place, we should ask ourselves, why do we want to focus on this particular problem? Why do we want to spend time and effort to improve that particular process? So that must be stated very clearly upfront, so that before you spend more time and effort, you're very clear upfront. What is it that what is the pain points, and what are you trying to improve? Once you are very clear with that, then you do a as-is analysis of that particular process. In doing the as-is analysis, there are many tools, management tools available. You all would have heard about Kaizen, 5S, PDCA, Six Sigma, cost effect analysis, CPOC, or sometimes they call it COPIS, or Kanban, and also Scrum. These are some of the management tools that are available out there that you all can, you know, Google for it and find out and get to know how to use these tools to do your as-is analysis, to be more precise, to get the precise answers on what to focus on the problem that you have decided to improve on. And these tools will give you a more data-based analytics to focus on, and that will lead you to, you know, coming up with what are the best ways to solve the issues that you have in hand. In coming up with the issues that you have in hand, you need to, depending on whether the proposals that you are coming up with, whether it costs money. If it costs money, then you need to maybe put up a business case to your bosses or to your management, so that in such a situation, you need to then put up a very thorough business case to convince your bosses, because it's going to cost money. Once you have decided on and you have got the approval to go ahead, then you know, in the process of putting up the business case, you may want to have a high level to be designed. But once it has been approved, your management has approved to go forward, then as you are working, you need to then translate that business case into a project and run it as a project. And even in the business case, you need to tell your management, once this project is done, how do you measure success of that particular project, because you have spent time and effort. So once that is done, you run it as a project, get it implemented, and once it's implemented, naturally your bosses are going to ask you, show me that, you know, whatever you presented to us and got the approval, your initiative is actually bearing fruits. You are able to show results. So that's where you need to measure the success of the initiative, improvement initiative that you implemented. And then once that is done, you need to do an implementation review as to whether you have achieved what you set out to achieve. If there are some there's some areas of improvement, then you carry on the cycle, or you move on to another problem. So this is how the process improvement methodology works. You go from one problem to another, and it must be a continuous process. Okay, if you take FM, if you go to any facilities, especially buildings, we all know that if you want to judge whether the FM in the building is being managed properly, one area that you would want to visit is the toilet. So the next topic I want to touch on is a process improvement matrix. How do you go about prioritizing? If you've got many suggestions for process improvement, how do you go about prioritizing what to do? So let's say you are asked to do something about improving the cleanliness and the customer feedback on toilets. So you can come up with as many ideas as possible on what you want to improve. It could be something that doesn't cost any money at all, something like customer feedback, getting customer feedback, increasing frequency of cleaning, educating the users. These are stuff that wouldn't cost, like customer feedback wouldn't cost you any money, right? But it will take some time. Time is money, they say, but eventually everything costs money. But from that, something as simple as that, to you can go to things that are very costly, like redesigning and upgrading the toilets, touchless accessories to satisfy the current needs of the pandemic, where you don't want to touch any things in the toilets. Having IoT sensors, now a very heated topic that is being talked about in the FM fraternity is about air quality management, not only in the office environment, but also in the toilet. So how do we improve air quality in the toilet, especially under this pandemic situation? And then having tablets, we would have seen tablets being used in airports, KLIA and all that, where you see customer satisfactions and all that. So all this could be very costly. So you've got a full breadth of suggestions that you have, but which one do you give priority? This will depend on this matrix. Each of these improvement, there's a cost element to it, and there's an impact. If it is something that doesn't cost much money or doesn't cost money at all, and the impact is high, that is a no-brainer. You can just talk to your boss and just get it done, okay? In a situation like that, where it is something that you can do fast, you wouldn't want to spend too much money doing the as-is analysis. It's just following the Nike's motto, just do it, because it's not costing you any money or much time. But if it is something that is going to cost you a little bit money, like for instance, changing the quality of the consumables in the toilet, that's going to cost you money. But that one, maybe you don't have to go to the top management. Maybe at your boss's level, you can get it approved. So again, you may not want to spend too much money doing what they call analysis paralysis. You may just do something simple, prove to your boss this is going to improve customer satisfaction, and get on with it. But if it is something that is going to cost you millions, this is where you need to really do your assist analysis very thoroughly, because you need to table it to your top management or even maybe to your board. So in such a situation, your facts must be really thorough, and you must show proof that spending that kind of money will bring what kind of benefits. Like for instance, in a commercial building, will spending this kind of money lead to retaining the current tenants so that your revenue doesn't go down? Would it lead to attracting very good tenants, quality tenants? So these are the kind of analysis that you need to do, and for that your business case must be very thorough. One other thing that I would like to say through my experience, right, when you are coming up with this kind of proposals and to do the in-depth analysis, you just cannot do it by just sitting in your office and trying to get these things done. You need to make sure that you do a lot of reading, you need to do networking with people in the FM industry, you need to attend webinars like this to get ideas. Most importantly, talk to your FM service providers, because they have many clients. They can share with you that information comes cheap, no need to pay. You can get information from your FM service providers. Hey, your other clients, what are they doing? Share your experience. So you can get the ideas from them. Or another way of getting free ideas is visit other buildings, top quality buildings, see what they're doing. Like toilets, you will need to pay to go into the toilet, just go in and see what are they doing. So these are things, these are ways where you can, get ideas. And to build a solid business case, this is where networking comes in. Like you need to know our next speaker, Stephen E. He will talk to you about Value FM. So you need to know people like them, like Stephen, to build a solid business case. So this is how you need to come up with improvement ideas and convince your bosses how to go about carrying on with this process improvement initiatives. So this is my last slide. What are the critical success factors? It doesn't matter whether it's FM or in any business functions. For process improvement to succeed in any organization, the top management must be interested in it. The top management must speak this language on a frequent basis. The other thing is adapting ISO. These days, to maintain ISO standards, the auditors will come every year and they will look at your turnaround time last year and what is your turnaround time this year. And they will start questioning you, why no improvement? What are you looking? Why aren't you looking at those kind of things? So this ISO stuff is something that Stephen is going to talk about in his topic next. What do you call it? Process improvement should also be in the organization's shared values. Then the whole organization will start giving importance to process improvement, and it must be KPI driven at the strategic level right down to the tactical and operational level. Only then everybody will be in the game. And there needs to be, if everybody is really focused on process improvement, the organization should have a robust process improvement framework. There should be a council that looks into all the process improvement initiatives, what needs to be given priority, which initiatives needs to be allocated budget, and so on and so forth. If all these are put in place, I can tell you this, it will be in the staff's DNA and culture that in an organization, process improvement is an in thing. They will do it without even being asked. It will be part of their day-to-day life. So this is in a simple way. I'm sharing my 15, in fact 36 years of experience in EPF. I have done, I'm not blowing my trumpet. I have just to share with you some process improvement initiatives that I've done. Besides FM, right? There was one initiative. It took me only 5 minutes to ask for my bosses 2.3 million ringgit to make some enhancement to one of our systems. And I told them that the payback period for that 2.3 million is 9 months. And how the payback period comes is I will cut down the staffs from 40 over staffs to 9 staffs. And within 9 months, we managed to do that. We cut down the staffs. Why we were able to cut down the staffs? Because the about 30 over staffs were all contract staffs. When we improved the process, we just told the contract staffs, thank you very much for your services. Some of the good ones, we absorb them in some other functions. So that is one example. Another example is we spent a little bit of money to improve our store management. Why we needed to do it, the pain point was every year audit comes in, there is some mismatch between the inventory, the stock inventory, and what's actually on the racks. So we spent a little bit of money, created an apps, and after that, there were no audit queries, no mismatch, nothing. As late as early this year, a simple process improvement. There's a thing called robotic process automation nowadays. If you all would have heard RPA, we did one initiative, like, you know, last year, many organizations bought laptops in the thousands, right? So our system, our asset management system, only allows 20 assets to be bulk processed at any one time. Imagine processing about 4,000 laptops. It will take about 3 to 4 days to complete that one exercise. So this year, we use this thing called robotic process automation. And what took us about three days, we were able to do it within 1 hour. So these are some examples, actual examples that I myself have experienced. So it can be done. And in the process of doing it, it will be painful. But once you get it done and you see the results, you will have real, you will enjoy it. You'll get a lot of satisfaction. Yes. So take my word for it. And this is what I wanted to share with you all. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Good. I think I like the RPA. You know, I take the initiative to learn and to become certified of the how to implement RPA under the digitalization process in early year 2000 during the pandemic. I take that courses, you know, but I think this is a very good example when talk about digitalization, and digital transformation. So RPA is one of the very, very good examples. Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Tamil, for your 36 years experience. Actually, Mr. Tamil handling more than 50 buildings in Malaysia. Actually, he managed, I think it's not mistaken, 86 buildings in Malaysia for the EPF buildings. That's fantastic. Okay, I would like to invite our third speaker, Mr. Stephen Yee. I think we are ready for you, Mr. Stephen. Maybe you need to unmute your mic, Stella.
Okay, give me a
Okay.
minute now. Let me play the video.
Hello, fellow FM practitioners. I'm glad to be invited to speak at this webinar. I hope through this short presentation, I can impress upon you to adopt the ISO 41001 to develop an effective and efficient facilities management system. This is so that together we can demonstrate facility management as a value add and business advantage to organization. I would like to share with you an overview of the ISO 41001 FM management system from a FM practitioner's perspective and how it can serve as a sustainable guide for achieving effective and efficient FM operations. The ISO 41001 FM management system standard was published by the International Organization for Standards in the year 2018. It was developed, put together by over 30 countries of FM experts as a global standard for achieving FM best practices. The ISO 41001, like other ISO management systems, states the requirements to be conformed with, and the respective users are expected to contextualize these requirements to their FM functions in supporting their organization's business operations. I'm with FMS Associate Asia, the first organization that's led our client to be the first organization to achieve the ISO 41001 certification in Singapore, and probably in the Southeast Asia regions. I'm saying this not to impress you, but to impress upon you that I have gone through the challenging journey. And I understand the confusion, the pain, the frustrations involved in implementing the FM system. In this presentation, I'm going to share with you on how you can avoid those pitfalls and simplify the FM system development process, and encourage you, whether you are pursuing certification or not, to adopt the ISO 41001 standard as FM best practice for an FM system. Let's start with understanding what is an FM system. An FM system provides the framework that enables FM to achieve its promises to deliver the set level of facilities services through the process of plan, do, check, act cycle in sustaining and improving FM operations. Before we start, let's look at the definition of facilities management according to the ISO FM standard. Facilities management is an organizational function which integrates people, place, process within the built environment with the purpose of improving the quality of life of people and the productivity of the core business. The definition answers the why FM exists and the expected outcome from delivering the FM services. In brief, facilities management is about facilitating business success, isn't it? Here is the process approach methodology in facility management from the ISO FM standard. The illustration is intended to provide an overview of the FM process in supporting its organization core business strategy to help you visualize the relationship between the demand organization and the FM organization and the required activities in developing, implementing, and maintaining an FM system. A brief explanation of what is a demand organization and an FM organization. A demand organization refers to the one that pays for the FM services, whereas an FM organization refers to either the FM function within its organization or external FM service providers. The 7 auditable clauses are in line with the plan, do, check, act cycle. For planning, we have to consider clause 4, context of the organization. Clause 5, leadership commitment. Clause 6, planning the resources available. And also clause 7, the support required. The do phase will be clause 8 on operations. The check phase will cover clause 9 on performance evaluation, internal audit, and management review. And lastly, the act phase here refers to continual improvement, which is to satisfy clause 10. And that summarizes the FM system in a nutshell. I do understand that the standards clauses can be overwhelming, especially for those of you who are new to ISO management system standard. To overcome that, we have developed the stewardship strategy for the ease of understanding and implementation of an FM system. So, what is stewardship? Stewardship is about managing and maintaining the facilities entrusted to FM to ensure that they are operating at their peak performance and in delivering the promises of FM to deliver the agreed level of services made to the stakeholders. With stewardship in mind, this strategy uses the keywords to emphasize and to ensure the FM system conforms with the ISO standard, the plan, do, check, act, process approach. These keywords are meant to help simplify the clauses for implementation purpose. Each phase is guided by 2 key action words for ease of understanding and remembering. Isn't that good? The stewardship strategy allows FM practitioners to understand and appreciate the demand organization core business strategy and what is required of FM to support it. The stewardship strategy helps guide FM practitioners to focus on delivering what matters to their organization. Now, let's start with the plan phase. The plan phase requires you to focus and identify what to focus on. The first and most important thing you need to do is to know your organization's business, its mission, strategic objective, and the business operations. Remember, stewardship, we are entrusted to deliver the required FM services. If we are not sure how our services are supporting the organization, if we do not know what is required from FM, and if we do not know what are the stakeholders' expectations, then how are we going to meet the expectations and support them? So, what should be our focus and where are we supposed to be heading? Thus, it's important to find those focal points in the organization that we serve. Establish who are the stakeholders, who are the interested parties, such as the top management, functional management, the users, the relevant external service providers, and authorities. List and prioritize their needs and expectations, the criticality of their expectations, and those help to establish the focal point for your FM team. Next, identify. Identify the FM services required to support the achievement of the business strategic objective and to facilitate the business operations. This will help us to assess the risks and opportunities affecting FM. So what are the risks that we are talking over here? The risks are incidents that prevent FM from achieving its promises to deliver to the stakeholders, and opportunities are potential value-add initiatives that may improve the quality of life of people and the productivity of the core business. All right, we are done with the plan phase. So remember, the plan phase requires you to focus and identify. Next, let's move on to the do phase. The two key action words here are integrate and coordinate. This phase requires to begin with doing a relationship mapping to map out the stakeholders whom FM serves and the FM services to be delivered. The relationship mapping provides a visual diagram that allows you to see a broad view of connection between FM as a stakeholder, presenting an illustration of the processes and operation, which is intended to provide you with a high-level understanding of the interrelationship and interconnection of FM services and their activities. This is so that FM can proactively make plans to integrate the resources and efforts and to coordinate effectively and efficiently with the interested parties, whether internal stakeholders or with the external service providers. This phase requires you to know and act on the FM scope, stakeholders, and the deliverables of FM to be effective, and to know the appropriate tools, processes, and the needed relationship for FM to perform efficiently. The do phase is the heart of the FM operations. Now, I'm done with the do phase. Remember, the do phase requires you to integrate and coordinate. Next, I will cover the check phase. And the two key action words are achieve and calibrate. This phase requires you to take stock of your promises, to deliver, and to conduct periodic reviews and assess the achievement of the deliverables. It's important to review the FM performance with your stakeholders to validate whether the delivered services meet the expected level of service, their expectations, their experience with FM, and to explore if there are new needs for facilities services. Should there be deviation from the set expectation or feedback for improvement, FM needs to calibrate and to take corrective action to get those deviations back on track. This phase requires you to have in place monitoring, measuring, and control plans. Remember, the check phase requires you to achieve and calibrate. We have covered the plan, the do and check phases. And now let's move on to the final phase, act. The two key action words are prevent and improve. This phase requires FM to be creative and proactive, to have in place preventive, predictive, and contingency measures to prevent or minimize facilities failure that likely to cause interruptions to business operations, and to be prepared to respond to facilities related incidents, emergency, crisis, and even for disaster recovery. This phase requires FM to take proactive measures to identify the potential gaps in performance, its service deliverables, and apply corrective actions and initiate facility services improvement to improve the quality of life of people and the productivity of the core business. The key purpose of this act phase is to enable continual improvement. All right, I'm done with act. Remember, the act phase requires you to prevent and improve. Okay, I have completed sharing with you the stewardship strategies in applying the plan, do, check, act cycle to enable you to establish, implement, maintain, and continually improve the FM management system. Do you notice that the FM standard clauses were not mentioned in my presentation on stewardship strategy? The FM stewardship strategy is meant to be a guide for FM practitioners to set up an FM system without being stressed or overwhelmed by the clauses, so that you can understand easily and to encourage you to get started. In simplicity, an FM system is to enable the FM function to achieve its promises to the demand organization, focus on delivering what matters to their organization. And my last advice on the development of an FM system is to keep the manual simple and easy to understand, and use flow chart wherever is possible. The idea of developing a clear and simple FM management system is to encourage the FM team members to understand and take ownership to fulfill their roles and responsibility. And do remember to communicate and show your team member that their work and contributions do matters to the success of the organization. Before I end, I'd like to impress upon you again that FM should adopt the global ISO 41001 FM management system standard as a framework for establishing a sustainable, effective, and efficient FM operations. And I'd like to close with this truth. To start, you don't have to be good, but to be good, you need to start. So fellow FM practitioners, together, we can raise the recognition and respect for FM as a value-add function and business advantage to organization. All the best to your FM success.
Yeah, I like that, you know. We need to start actually, you know. So otherwise we cannot go success. Okay, thank you, Steven. Thank you. So we would like to go ahead and take some time for question. Actually, we have 3 questions from the audience, and I think the first question I think is been addressed to Mr. Tamil. many facility managers do not have the experience and skill to use data in making better decision or align FM priority with broader business objective through data analysis. How, I mean, from your experience, how you overcome this, Mr. Tamil?
Okay, interesting question. I would, my take of it is this. These days, right, information is money. Information is power.
Oil.
So, yeah. So we cannot beat around the bush. So you know, one of the things that all FM practitioners need to do is constantly on a yearly basis re-look at the FM practitioners competency directory. If in your competency directory data analytics is not part of the competencies that is being highlighted, then I would say you are getting outdated lah. So you better first step, make sure that is the basics. You don't have to do rocket science of data analytics, at least the basics. That's number one. Number two is, if you see quite a number of the conventional buildings, right, they have all the various systems as standalones, working as silos. Even as standalones, there are data. If you take even just the BMS, just to analyze data of the BMS, you need to know the basics, right? What more if you embark on a project where you want to integrate all these systems under a platform that can read all this data? When you are embarking on such an initiative to integrate all the systems, one key thing that you need to do is you need to identify at least 2 of your FM guys to be part of the project, and throughout the course of the project, be very clear on what data that you want to derive from the integration, because there will be millions of data and you're not going to waste your time crunching all the data. So be very clear what data you want to get out of it. But let's say you get that right, and then these 2 guys who were in the project are given the basics of data analysis and they can do the normal stuffs. But somewhere along the line, when you have integrated, the boss asks for something else, which these guys who have been trained, they do not have that kind of level of competency to extract that kind of data and to do data analytics. So what in a situation like that, if you belong to a big organization, nowadays big organizations are engaging data analysts, and data analysts are not cheap, they are expensive. So if you want to do a one-off data analysis, go to the data analytics analyst that has been hired by the organization to do it off. Okay, so this is in an environment where you are a facility owner. If we talk about FM service providers, what I'm hearing from the market now is those who are pitching their sales, right, to FM asset owners to be the FM service provider. They are having a central command system to hook on to all the sites where they are managing, and data is coming through to their central command system. If you are an FM service provider, and if you have embarked in this kind of initiative, and if you have this kind of facilities, and if you do not have a data analyst, something is not right lah. So even for FM service providers who are toying around the idea of having a central command system, please have this idea of having a data analyst. At least basic understanding must be there. If you don't have that, then you're fighting a losing battle lah.
Thank you, Mr. Tamil. Okay, I think that's good. I think we cannot just have a bullets. We also need to have the people that know how to use the bullets. You know, the data is our bullets. You know, and if we have the especially when we have a wounded warrior, you know, so how to empowering them, you know, to continue the battles. Okay, I think that's the thank you, Mr. Tamil, for that answer. And then maybe this question I would like to give to Prof first. Question number 3, Prof. I think the question number 3 is regarding the every technology promises process improvement, but facility manager and their team must learn to use the software. Unfortunately, however, many of these employees lack proficiency in these tools, and some cases many lack fundamental digital skill altogether. How to solve this issue? Yeah, this is the important digital skills.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Ahmad. I think I'm agree with Mr. Tamil Wanan in terms of we as a FM personnel, we need to have a fundamental knowledge in terms of this technology, software that being available in the markets that we use. And then, of course, I think it is common things that as FM personnel or FM employee, so we need to understand on the various software that being used by our profession, such as the use in terms of software that can improve using the facilities maintenance management software, CFMS, computerized maintenance management software, with this kind of manufacturers such as Akiba, Seawork, etc. So they have free training, and then sometimes they have conduct this kind of course that's offered to the FM personnel to understand on what are the function, what are the features, what are the advantages of this software to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of the FM services that provide to the organization. So that will be one of the things that can be done. I mean that the FM personnel so can evolve with this kind of training, including in terms of upskill or reskilling their knowledge in terms of using this software. In terms of university, we have tried to what we call equip or provide our students with this kind of knowledge, Mr. Ahmad, before they enter to the industry. So we have this kind of session with this software provider, such as this kind of Akibas or Seaworks. So it means that we have this kind of specific training for them. So have this kind of certificate of proficiency or this kind of competency to do this kind of or to use this kind of software. So that's what we can do in university level. So it means that we provide this kind of information or knowledge in terms of the usage of software in FM sectors. So that is how we can solve this issue also. Okay. So, but this question is focused in terms of the person that have been worked with the organization, but they have this kind of lack of proficiency or lack of competency to use this tool. So there is no shortcut in this process. So they need to educate or they need to acquire this kind of knowledge. And then the company need to invest to their maintenance personnel to join with this kind of with these software providers, and then try to understand on the data. And then as mentioned by Mr. Kamil, that your data analysts need to able to identify the solution and then try to look on the effective ways to use that data for decision making. That is important. And then try to relate whatever data that we have to the strategic decision of an organization. I just gave an example of Tesco in the United Kingdom previously when they want to change their floor tiles. So they try to look in terms of operational level is to change the floor tile. But what effect at the strategic level? At the strategic level, when you change this kind of floor tiles that give convenience to your customers or your client, so they will come to your stores or you will come to your outlet, so or premises. So therefore, with that kind of changing of the tiles that can give a pleasant situation or environment to the customers, so that will be increased on your business profitability, profit, or etc. So how to solve these issues? With the knowledge, with the proper training, so they will help the organization to acquire this kind of digital skills to overcome or to align with this current situation.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Yep.
Thank you, Prof. I think yeah, it's true. Because this digitalization, even though we are in the digital era, so we still have a digital divide among ourselves. So we thought that digital divide is only happened in year 1998 or early 90s, when IT is being introduced to the markets, But eventually, currently we also have a digital divide among ourselves, especially when you are using very high tech, a high computing powers, So we need to be careful about our digital device. Okay, we have a question number 3. I think this question number 3 question number 2 being addressed to Mr. Steven. Every technology promise. I think Mr. Steven question. Okay, digital FM is not one size fit all solution because the needs, resources, and approaches of every organization are distinct. Should organization be more flexible and agile in adapting to the digital transformation, Mr. Steven?
Okay, this is a very practical and realistic question, and I'm happy to take on this question. As you and I know that the digitalizing FM can be very wide and varied. So I'd like you all to bring you back to using the FM management system as a guide. Under the plan phase, we learn about the need to focus and to identify. Focus on what is the mission of FM to facilitate business operation success, right? So it's very important to know what is your organization strategic objective, first and foremost, and also about the workspace accommodating those operations. Are this digitalization realistic and practical? Look, as what Prof has mentioned, the different type of like software. Okay, starting from there, are we still at the computerized maintenance management systems, software application, or have we moved to integrated workplace management system, right? And the variety, it depends on, you have to do assessment of your function, strength and weakness, whether are your members competent, capable, and able to design and to implement solutions that will support the effective and efficient run for the operation. And very important, those investment, what will be the return on investment, which is the language understood by the top management, right? We can go on and on, especially FM can be very influenced by today's fierce marketing messages, the need to go from Internet of Things to artificial intelligence, and eventually promoting the autonomous building, right? Machine learning, whereby the data analysis no longer need to be outsourced out to be analyzed. It will be incorporated into the system to self-generated. And when that happens, the provision of FM need to be elevated to be able to understand those data being analyzed and make decisions that will add value to your organization. I hope I have, in brief, answers the question.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Steven. Yeah, that's true actually. Okay, it's like we have covered everything. To all speakers, is there any else that you wanted to cover before we wrap up? Mr. Tamil? Yeah.
Just on my topic, right, just now when I showed the metrics on what are the priorities that we need to give to some of the proposals that you have. In FM, you cannot run away from the fact that safety is top priority. So if your problem statement is related to some safety issues and you come up with some proposals which is going to take care of the safety issues, whether it costs money or not, you have to do it. Safety is one thing. And the other thing is, if it is an issue related to regulatory compliance, you have to spend the money and you have to do it. You have to do it. But then again, since money is involved, the bosses will always ask to make sure you get value for money. Don't do it in the wrong way. So you need to put up a proper business case, and the processes all must be properly defined so that you meet the objective of the money being spent. And that's what I would like to add, my last thing.
Okay, Prof, how about you?
I think Matt, okay.
Okay, Mr. Steven, anything to add before?
Well,
we take
thanks
off?
for the invitation. In fact, I enjoy learning from the two speakers. Like Tamil, you actually has brought in the mission of FM, the part on the workplace safety and health, which is the mission of FM to improve the quality of life of people. And I'm very happy when Prof, you mentioned that you have worked with Kit Alexandra. Wow, that's my FM model. Until today, I'm still using the FM processors, the green cover page. Wow. Now I know where I can, whom I can approach nearby, not so far, because lately I've been connected with Bright Akin. So I thought now, if I may, I can approach you to learn more from you about your research, if that is possible.
Yeah, sure, Stephen.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything, Mr. Steven?
No, I also like to thank you, Ms. Saranon, for facilitating this very non-threatening kind of a webinar. It made me so relaxed. Thank you very much, and I enjoyed this session.
Okay, thank you, Steven, for joining us. Thank you, Prof, for joining us. Mr. Tamil, we appreciate your time and effort and your experience. And thank you also, everyone. Thank you, CIDB, for making this webinar a success.